Hey everybody, in this CAD tutorial we're going to be showing you how to make a turkey carving tray. Let's be honest, Christmas dinner is the most important part of Christmas. So why don't we jump straight in and we can show you how we use Vectric to design this file. Okay, so the first vector to create for this file is going to be the outer perimeter square, which we're going to be 650 on the X again, and 450 on the Y-axis. And if I hover over here, we'll see these ghost lines appear, which tells us we're going to be promoting that to the center of our stock. So we're going to create an inner boundary offset. So we're going to go inwards and we're going to come in by 30 millimeters. And as we click the offset, that's given us our second vector. So the next thing I'm going to do then is I'm going to create one line. And by using the dimensions tool, I'm going to ping a line across here, making sure that's as square as we can possibly make it. And that is 590 millimeters. So we're going to make one line then at 590. Okay, so we can delete that one. And if we pick up this line here and come over to our array copy tools, on the Y-axis, we're going to ask for it to produce 10 of those, and we'll try this 35 millimeter offset. Again, as you can see, it's selected all of our vectors here. So if I just align that to the center of our stock, we've now got all these lovely lines here, which are going to form as flutes. So we've literally got one more toolpath to make, which is going to be another rectangle. And for this rectangle, I'm going to ask for a 20 millimeter radius corner, and across the X-axis, it's going to be 40 millimeters. And across the Y-axis, we're going to have that as 315 millimeters. And I'll come over to this point here, and we'll drop that on. So you can see that's now effectively a rectangle with nice rounded edges. If I just select that vector, I can centralize that to our stock. And I want to make that outside of this 20 millimeters away from the edge of our stock. So again, what we're going to do is just make another shape 20 millimeters thick. We'll align that to the center of our stock. We're going to select this outside vector. And again, using our alignment tools, we're going to align that now there. And then we're going to select our pocket and this dummy vector. And we're going to use this one here. And we're going to align those together. I'll select this one and delete it. And that's going to put our vectors exactly where we want. So we're going to be using a new set of toolpaths for this project. And we've got a couple of little tweaks to make to our vectors. So again, we're going to select this outer vector, and I'm going to press N on the keypad to take me into node editing mode. And as you can see, this center point here, which is the center of our stock, the furthest away from our little catch tray. If I hover over that and I press P on the keyboard, that's now going to create it as our start point. So I'm going to press exit now to exit node editing mode. And again, I'm going to highlight all of these vectors and press N again, just to make sure that all of these green marks here stipulate that this is our start pattern. So all of our cuts are going to run in this direction. So if I press exit, we're going to exit out of node edit mode, and we're going to start to generate some toolpaths. So the first one we're going to look at is a fluting toolpath for this outer boundary. And we're going to come over to our flute type, and we're going to make sure it's at the start and at the end of our vector. And we want to come 1 mil is our start depth, and we're going to cut 7 mil into our project. So as I calculate that now, I'll preview our toolpath and change that to material color. And what we've got now is a 1 millimeter deep start and a 1 millimeter deep finish. This is going to go around the perimeter of our board, and it's going to be then 8 millimeters deep when we get to this section here. Okay, so that's the first toolpath completed, which is our perimeter fluting toolpath. The next toolpath is going to be a pocket cut to create this juice bowl. So we're going to go over to our pocket cut, and we're going to use a 25 millimeter ball nose router cutter, and we're going to cut 15 millimeters deep into our project. And we are going to cut that as an offset, so that will sit in the middle of our pocket here, and it will go up and down until it creates a wider perimeter. And we're going to ramp this toolpath by 10 millimeters, so it's that big 25 mil cutter has got a nice easy entranceway into our material. So again, if we just reset the render preview. You'll see now that's our fluted toolpath that starts from 1mm and comes around to 8. And then that's our juice pocket there on the end. So the third toolpath is going to be another fluting toolpath. And again, we're using the same 12mm ball nose router cutter. And we're going to cut the same 8mm deep. And we're going to start off at 1mm start depth. We've got all of these vectors selected and we want to ramp them over the complete length. Now, as we checked earlier, all of our node points are starting from here. So they should all end up with the lowest part being inside this juice bowl. There we go. So that's how that's going to look. Doesn't that look fantastic? Looks absolutely brilliant. So for our final toolpath is going to be cutting a profile cut for this outer perimeter, including these lovely 50mm sweep corners. So we'll go into the profile toolpath and we're going to cut 28mm deep because we've got 27mm stock. And we're going to select our 8mm end mill. Remember to cut on the outside of our line. And we're going to do a separate last pass of 0.01mm in the reverse direction. That's just going to clean up any sort of remnants of grain. We're going to definitely add some tabs to this because it's a big old project. And we're going to do those at 8mm tool over 25mm in length. And we're going to add some leads. So we're not going to do a ramp on this job because a ramp is going to sit and dwell in certain parts of our job and add some witness marks, which would be horrible to clean up. So the easiest way to get around this, I always go for a 45-degree lead in, and our lead lengths we're going to extend to 8mm, and we're going to make sure we've selected this box, which is lead out. So it's always worth at this point checking what your start location is, and I'm going to ask ours to start down at the bottom part, so it will start down here on our project. Okay, and it just keeps it out the way of any of these corners. So we're ready now to press calculate, and we're just going to get a warning to tell us that it's going to cut all the way through our stock. But as you can see now, we'll look at our project and we'll see those nice rounded 50mm corners coming in. There we go. And that is effectively our finished project. 1, 2. So there we have it. That is our turkey carving board, finished just in time for Christmas. If you don't have time to design this file from scratch yourself, as an added Christmas bonus, we've made it available for you free of charge. Follow the link in the description below. Merry Christmas, everybody.